You'll never believe it, but bowing actually has the secret to how to address self-doubt. Welcome back to the Morning Mindfulness series. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable ideas that impact and upgrade our everyday lives. I was talking with a friend about how easy it is when we're scrolling through social media to be filled with self-doubt. It seems like other people have it together, or it seems like they're so much more well-liked. Interestingly, we find an antidote to this in a weird ritual. In prayer, there's a point where we bow. When we say there are certain blessings that when we say them, when we say, "Blessed are you, God," we bend at the word blessed, we bow at "are you," and we rise up at God. What is this about? So, bowing is a physical act of negating ourselves before God. It's a physical act of humility. Now, what exactly is humility? Humility is not self-doubt. It is not low self-esteem. Humility is an accurate sense of self. And you know where it starts from? It starts with understanding God's greatness, understanding the greatness of this huge universe that God created with all the billions of people in it, and realizing that no matter how great I can be, I'm still tiny compared to God. And when I realize God's greatness, and when I realize that the great God decided that I am here, I'm filled with a sense of awe and a sense of fear of failure, really, fear of not living up to what God wants me to do in this world. So how does bowing address our self-doubts? The Talmud says that when we bow, we should bow quickly and then rise up again slowly. Why? This is why. Because when we're bowing, it's a symbolic act of negating ourselves before God. And that negation, that subjugation, that realization happens in an instant. However, the rising up again, that self-development, happens slowly. And we know this in our lives as well. When we have a realization, that realization happens instantly. But then when we have to develop that, that's a process that takes place over time. This is a metaphor for the two stages of self-development. All of us have negative forces in our lives, whether it's things like fear or laziness or lack of patience. And there are two stages. The first comes the difficult stage, the difficult work of bending, where we have to subjugate, we have to destroy those negative forces in our life. But that's just the preparatory stage. That's stage one, because the goal is to shine with godliness, with joy, with vitality. And that happens after we do the first stage of bending, of destroying, of subjugating those negative forces in our life, because our real self is good. And when we destroy, when we subjugate those negative forces in our life, when we're able to move past the fear, move past the laziness, move past whatever negative force is holding back, then our inherent goodness will shine through and will allow us to live a life of vitality and joy. And this is the meaning of the blessing that we say in the morning. We say, God straightens the bends. And on a simplistic level, when we wake up in the morning, we're able to stretch and stand up straight, and we're thanking God for that. But beyond that, we're also saying that when we do the difficult inner work of subjugating our negative forces, then God straightens us. God allows our inherent goodness to shine forth. So when we are filled with self-doubt and we do the inner work of subjugating ourselves to God and asking ourselves the question, what does God want me to do in this situation? And we work through those negative forces that are bringing us down, that God gives us the gift of allowing our inherent goodness to shine through and allowing us to live a life of strength, vitality, and joy. Thank you for your time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get in touch with me. Find me on Instagram at Gilaros. And please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you and have a wonderful day.